Hello everybody and welcome back to my React series of watching Solo Leveling Season 1, entirely first reaction of the entire series. I've said this in the previous video, but I had no idea the show was on its end of Season 2. I've only ever been suggested that I should watch it, so I'm just recording my total initial reaction. We are currently on Season 1, Episode 3, like I said. In the last episode, we just saw Jinwoo get sacrificed to the statue gods. My hunch was that the weapons that they sacrificed him with have the elemental core in them. Also, I don't know if it's called elemental core, but I play World of Warcraft and there is something in World of Warcraft called elemental core. So if I keep on calling that and it's the wrong word, I'm so sorry. The show keeps on reminding me of World of Warcraft, so I might accidentally interchange some of the language. But my hunch is that the weapons have elemental core in them, that all of the monsters have in them, and that they have sacrificed him by using those weapons, and now his blood and the element basically infused, and he's now going to be half monster, half super high rank hunter. I think he's going to be whatever is beyond an S tier. Essentially, he will be undead. So that is where we left off. That's what we're going to see in this episode. I guess what happens next. It does say that in episode 3, Jinwoo remains behind in the temple dungeon to save the few surviving members of his party. And with a swing from the god statue's blade, his life comes to an end, or so it seems, before he wakes up in a hospital bed. Which I also said I reacted to the closing credit of the last episode as well, because I hadn't seen the opening credits or the closing credits, and I did say that it seemed like he had woken up in a hospital. So I'm glad so far that my investigative skills are paying off, because so far I've been kind of right about stuff, but I'm sure that will peter off at some point and I will just be totally lost and confused. I said this in episode 1, but I am one of those people, when I watch a series, I really try to piece together the puzzle before you even have all of the puzzle pieces. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but I know it can be a bit annoying, especially when you're one of those types of people who isn't like that and you just want to shake that person and say, just watch the show. I'm sure it'll tell you what happens in it. I just can't help it. It's fun for me. I've just always been like that with every show I've ever watched. So if you really dislike that type of reaction, you might be annoyed with me. Like I said in earlier videos, I'm really trying to say everything that is in my head because I don't want these to be underwhelming reactions, and I typically watch shows by myself, so there usually is no reaction. I'm really trying to push myself to just say whatever I'm thinking initially, and I'll think about what I said later. I'm sure I'll say some dumb stuff. Hopefully you like me reacting to episode 3, season 1, and enough chatter from me. Let's get into the next episode. Also, yes, I am wearing my PJs from the last episode that you watched. I am going to keep on saying what season I'm watching because everybody's on season 2. So if you've gotten this far, I'm reacting to season 1 of Solo Leveling. I wasn't recording that entire time. Okay, so I wasn't recording the entire time when I just finished episode 3. I'll have to watch it again and give my reactions. I spent so long watching that and pausing it and giving my thoughts. What I'll do for now is I will just kind of like skip through it and I'll just say what was happening in that part and then give my thoughts on it. I think that's maybe the best way to do it without having to watch it all over again. Okay, so at the beginning, we saw that he woke up in a hospital and he was miraculously fine because he wished for a second chance and then he was given a second chance. So these guys come in and rank his powers and we realize that he is still ranking super low level, which surprised me. He seemed really excited about him getting high level powers and I was immediately like, okay, if he's excited about it, he definitely didn't get a lot of powers. They ask him if he has a second awakening, which he does, which is what made me think that he was going to awake with high level powers, but later we see that he has these like inbox quest screens popping up in his vision, and I love that he's getting basically like daily quests that he needs to do and complete in order to self level up. The notifications look like this, by the way, and I guess this is what he saw when he initially had died and he had to choose between yes or no for his second chance. At first he didn't know what to do with the notifications, so he asks his sister and she tells him But in a video game, you would usually check your inbox, and he was given like a daily quest, which I loved. And this is his daily quest. And he avoids doing it and ends up with his penalty. And I'll go ahead and show you your penalty, which I thought was so fun because he ends up in this like sand dune desert. And there's this giant sandworm that tries to fight him. But that's his penalty for not completing his daily quest, which I definitely wasn't expecting that type of turn where he wasn't just like given high level abilities. I actually appreciate more now that we're watching him going from super low rank. He's being given a chance to go through each of the ranks. So he'll go E, D, and so on until maybe he gets to S rank, which I definitely thought he was just going to wake up and be like super, super high level rank. I actually think that makes for a much more interesting story, and that you have to work hard for what you get. And even when you're honorable and sacrifice yourself and die for everybody else to live, you're rewarded with a second chance, but you're not instantly rewarded with all of the gold and the jewels and the high level power. I don't really know what's happening here. They're asking her if she can join another guild, an international guild. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on in this case with her and stuff, and with him. I have no hunch on that yet. I also guess there's more gates showing up, which is also interesting because Jinwoo has been asleep for the past 3 days now. And I think in the last episode at the end, they said that the portal was going to begin breaking open even more and letting even more monsters through in 3 days time. So basically awakening on the day where more portals are going to be opening and letting more monsters through the portal. I don't want this to be too much of like an overview of what's happening in the show, because I'm still trying to give my take on it and my initial reaction. But since I didn't record it, I'm just trying my best to like skip through it and give what I was kind of thinking at that moment. Oh yeah, this is where it shows that this is where his penalty shows up, and he goes to the like desert. And what's interesting with this is I wasn't sure if all of this was happening in his head and it was just like self-contained, or was it also actually happening in real life. But later in this part of the episode, it shows that he's physically not in his hospital bed. We do know that there's simultaneously two realities, or there's just an entire part of this reality that maybe we can't see, or that other people can't see without some type of special ability. Which, saying that now, actually makes me connect it back to the fact before he had his second awakening, he was still that type of person that noticed or witnessed kind of everything that other people didn't see. So it also makes sense why maybe in his reawakening, he is just seeing more of what more people can't see. Does that make sense? I feel like that almost half makes sense only to myself. Like, I haven't fully developed that thought yet, but I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. And the fact that he already was the observant one despite being an E-level hunter and maybe not being physically strong, it didn't have anything to do with his knowledge. He still is smart and observant. And in this second awakening, he is still smart and observant, but even more observant. It's almost as if his observance is what was given more power, essentially. Maybe not his physical body given more power. And I love this part. He's given like rewards for when he finishes his quest. Some of the rewards are like little and small, and then some of the rewards will help him get to like the next chapter of his strength training, which I absolutely love. We all love a little reward at the end of a hard quest.
I figured out a few things.
Oh, this is where we see that he keeps on leveling up his strength, and he's not focusing so much on his agility and his persistence, I think is what PR means, maybe? I'm not sure. But he keeps on leveling up his strength, which makes sense because he's always been a very weak person. So I guess it makes sense that the first thing he would want to level up is his strength. But I was saying in my first initial reaction when I wasn't recording that I thought he was going to run into issues when he wasn't also going to be chasing agility as well. Because we all know if you play games, agility is just as important as strength sometimes. You know, you can have all the strength, but if you can't run away or if you get winded easily, you're just as good as dead, so.
Figured it'd be more bandages, pens, or other useless stuff like I've been getting.
They're talking about more gates opening up, and he's on his 4th day of awakening, I'm pretty sure. I guess they're kind of running out of time. Also this part, let's watch this.
Mom! Mom, you've got to wake up!
What's wrong with her?
I don't know. Not responding at all. Eternal sleep disease?
Yes. Final rest is another term for it. An illness that came into existence with the appearance
It's almost
of the
like
days.
it
affects
took
1 in every 10,000
power
people
from
or so.
her, and she has
not
the
proven
same
yet,
scar
but
on
it's
her neck
theorized the cause is
as
incessant
that one guy
exposure to
has, who was first
we know
in
more,
episode
life
1
support is the
talking
best
about
modern medicine can
the
offer.
elemental cores. And it's at the same time he has his powers awakened, so it's almost like there always has to be a give and a take, which would make sense with the statues as well, that he had to sacrifice himself in order to be given another chance. So there is always balance in this world. And what I was saying earlier is that I couldn't tell if the statues that he was fighting in the last episode were technically, in a simple term, good or bad, but I personally think that the statues are a bit of like chaos gods, and they do want balance for the greater good, but also just have a bit of a way of going about achieving that. Definitely saw something in him, and they're using him as a tool to help shut these portals and restore balance, because you don't want too much of evil running rampant. You also don't want too much good running rampant as well, I guess. You know, they could just like completely close the portals and there just being no more monsters, but also monster hunting has given people an opportunity to work, it seems, and make money for their families who clearly really need it. But also, I think I remember them earlier talking about how the elemental core that the hunters drop are a clean, renewable energy source. So I feel like that's where the good comes from in the balance of fighting the monsters. But then also they're using Jinwoo as a tool to stop these portals from further opening and just letting chaos run rampant, essentially.
This is it. Now we can pay for Mom's treatment.
Which would also make sense, making him work for his
Be okay.
maybe
I
higher
have my
tiers.
word on that.
Oh, this is the part where I was realizing, okay, he can see things that may actually be there, but nobody else can see. And the mix between realities are kind of blending together. It is so hard reacting to an initial reaction after I've already watched it. So I'm so sorry. But now I'll know, double check to make sure that I am recording. So he goes through and like fights these trolls. I'm really enjoying the video game tie into this. I will say, even though I just finished this episode like a few minutes ago, I'm kind of noticing things or having second ideas about what's happening after my first initial reaction, because later in this scene he isn't able to use his legs anymore, and I'm wondering if it's because he hasn't been growing his agility as much as his strength, and basically that's his agility running low, like a cooldown. I wonder what he brought in his backpack. I'm like, I imagine it opening and there's just fruits in there. Animals with bionic parts will always just be so cool to me. This part is where I thought maybe his agility was running low.
I thought I was over. What happened?
It's weird that his ears twitched after him having that thought, almost as if maybe the statues are still in control of these monsters? I don't know. Oh, I forgot that was the end of the episode. Yeah, that was my reaction to my initial reaction for episode 3. I'm definitely going to be one of those people who are agreeing with those who have said that this is the best anime of all time. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I will let the show do the talking. I definitely think the show is going to make me cry a lot though. I already wanted to cry when the guy with kids got split in half. I genuinely didn't see that coming. I thought he was going to survive, but I haven't watched an anime series in a long time, and I should have known better than an anime keeping your favorite character alive. So I hope you guys enjoyed or are enjoying watching me react to season 1 of Solo Leveling. Next episode we'll be watching is episode 4. That feels kind of silly to say because of course you would think after episode 3 you would watch episode 4. But I have seen some people do reaction videos where they kind of skip around and let themselves gather more information before they begin reacting to another episode. So I just want to clarify, I am planning on reacting to each episode individually and recording and uploading my reaction. I may not do that for all series that I watch for these react videos, but at least for Solo Leveling, since this is my first reaction series, I would like to. And each episode is really advancing the storyline a lot so far. So I think it probably is worth reacting to each one. I hope you guys are enjoying watching me react. If you're not already following me on all my socials to keep updated when I upload or what I upload, if you follow me on Instagram and on Twitch, both at Gillian Aprils, that's a great way to keep up with everything. We do have a Discord where I take ideas specifically for these reaction videos. So if you have anything that you would like to see me react to, it is definitely a great place to join and submit some ideas, but also a great way to just join the community and be a part of it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'm gonna go and do some other things rather than just sitting here and watching this show all day. Bye.